All right, you guys are on the cloud. For those of you that are here, we'll see if anybody else pops in. It is 3:05, so we want to get going. Um, like I mentioned to Joni talking just now, what I'm hoping for is that throughout this conversation, I would really like this meeting to be a little bit more conversational, so that you guys can challenge yourselves a little bit too. And we all learn from each other. So uh, we need to keep that in mind too. So topics like this, the most valuable info that we can get is from each other. So where did I get this talk track that we're about to jump in on? So, I use AI. Yes, I use that. Um, to do research. I also, this is stuff that I talk about a lot. So there's some of my stuff melded in there also. Like I said, we've been talking about AI a lot for the past few meetings. The more you use it, the more it knows you. It knows what you do, what you present. And so it's actually starting now. It seems like we have to talk about this every week. It's actually starting now to understand like how Damien sells real estate, which is interesting, right? So we're going to meld it all together and we're going to be conversational about it. And the reason that I want to talk about this topic is lately, and I love this, by the way, lately I've been getting a lot of texts and calls from you guys saying things like, hey, you know what? I want to get better at doing listing presentations. I want to get better at um, winning, that meeting, winning that meeting, that listing presentation meeting. Can we get together? Can we talk about it? And the answer is absolutely yes, right? So we can get together anytime you want and talk about what I do and how it might work for you and what you ought to do. We can talk about that at any time, right? I love doing that. Um, but in those meetings, we're going to be talking about a lot of process, right? This meeting today, this is more about mindset, right? I want you guys to start thinking in a different mindset or start pushing into a different mindset because that's going to help you grow and that's going to help our meetings be more productive when we have them one-on-one. Okay. So I'm going to throw down a couple of absolutes. Okay. The first absolute is that as real estate agents, you guys have a pretty solid understanding of the fundamentals of real estate, right? We need to get that out of the way. Everybody here has a pretty solid understanding of the fundamentals of real estate. The second absolute is you guys all have good people skills, good personalities, right? Like if you get engaged with someone that you don't really know that well, you can probably have a decent conversation. You're nice to talk to, right? You can. A participant has requested. Okay, sure. Um, Somebody's got a new reader. All right, you guys can have a conversation. You're pleasant to talk to. People enjoy being around you, right? The personality. You guys all passed the personality test. So let's get that out of the way. Okay. And let's get into the differences of what makes a really, truly good real estate agent. And why do I say really, truly? Well, go onto social media. All right. Every real estate agent on there is great. They'll tell you, right? What does every single real estate agent on social media say? Okay. Let me get your juices running. If 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 I'm a real estate broker and I'm recruiting agents, there's certain things that real estate brokers who are recruiting agents, we all say the same thing. Okay. We all say the same things. The first thing we say is we all have the best training. The second thing we say is we all have the best tech. And the third thing we say is we all pay the best. We all say that. Okay. Every single one of us says that in a recruiting environment. So, in a real estate sales environment, when real estates are talking about themselves or their business, what are some of the things that they all say? You included. Anybody want to go, or you just want me to talk? Somebody chime in and tell me one thing that all real estate agents say. over there. I have the best marketing, right? They all say that. My marketing system, I have the best marketing. My proven this, my proven that, right? What else do they say?
I'll work the hardest for you.
I'll work the hardest for you, right? Nobody works harder than me. AKA, I care about my clients more than everybody else, right? What else do they say? I have the best results, right? What else do they say? I'm your local expert, right? They all say the same stuff. Now think about it for a
I'll
minute,
advertise you on Redfin and the MLS and Zillow and Realtor.com.
right? I have the best tech, right? Okay. So they all say the same stuff. Now think about it for a minute to yourself. You don't have to answer here, but think to yourself, when you're in that environment or when you're in a talk track environment one-on-one with somebody, not just on social media, but when you're out and about and you have to try and explain why you're great, how many times do you say the same things that all real estate agents say? I mean, I know if I'm being honest, I do it all the time, right? Hey, Damien, I'm thinking about listing my house. I heard you're pretty good at it. Yeah, tell me a little bit about what you do. Oh, well, shit. I got the got a proving marketing system that's going to knock your socks off, right? I basically grew up born and raised here. This is my hometown. Like nobody has better local knowledge than me. And I mean, results? You want to talk about results? Look at my results. They're incredible. Say that crap all the time, right? You do too. What's the reality of it? Maybe even myself included, maybe even you guys included, but what's the reality of the caliber of agent out there that's saying all these things? What's the reality? Anybody know what the reality is? And what I mean by the reality is how many of them are actually any good at what they do? And we're only as good as our last deal, right? So let's put it this way. How many of them out there actually sell above industry average on an annual basis? What percentage of real estate agents sell above industry average on an annual basis? Anybody know the answer to that one? Anybody want to take a guess at the answer to that one? In our market, what percentage of agents sell above the industry average on an annual basis? Nobody wants to guess? Brendan? Brendan can't. He's driving. Never mind. Brendan, don't guess. It's about 8%. Okay. It's about 8% because if you talk about Placer County, Sacramento County, Nevada County, Sutter Yuba County, there's a lot of real estate agents. Okay. There's a bunch. The national average for agents that sell above industry average is around 20%. Locally, it's around 8%. So what does that mean? Take the front half of what I said, take the actual percentage. What does it mean? If 8% sell above industry average and 100% of them say they're great, how many of them are full of crap? 92. 92% of agents are full of crap. Okay. So the first thing you need to do is not fall for that. Okay. I'm as guilty of it as anybody. I will measure myself against what I am scrolling on social media. That is a critical error on my part, right? I'm measuring myself against the show. Okay. If you measure yourself against the show, any show, if you're a baseball player and you measure yourself against the show, if you're a football player and you measure yourself against the show, if you're a golfer and you measure yourself against the show, how are you going to stack up? Really badly. All right. Now, the difference between professional athletes and real estate agents is the professional athletes you see on TV and social media are actually good at their job. Okay. Not the opposite. So you got to get out of that. But words don't mean a whole lot. And I think that the consumer is starting to realize at the same time that words don't mean a whole lot. Because if you scroll through real estate now on social media, it's like a miniature movie. It really is. Some super, super high production type video stuff. One of them that I saw you, Jessica showed me one yesterday that I couldn't even believe I was watching. Like it just blew me away. It was a realtor that just posted. I can't even believe she posted it. I don't even want to say what it was. If you want to know what it was, send me a message or something, or send Jess a message and she'll tell you. Like it was horrible. All right. But I think the public is starting to catch on, right? Number one. So we don't want to say the same things that everybody else says because I think the public is catching on, and we don't want to necessarily count on words because I think the public is catching on, and we're better than that. So what's our first shift? Our first shift has got to be mindset wise. What is it that we do? Okay. What is it that we do? I want you to shift from what they used to call door openers, which are like reactive people. Hey, I want to see a house. Hey, I'll meet you there. Hey, let me open the door. Hey, do you want to write an offer? Hey, I do. All right, I'll write an offer, right? All reactionary type stuff to everything that you're doing from here on out. I'm going to use the word advisor because I can't think of anything else right now. You're going to shift to an advisory or a consultative position in real estate. But Damien, I still want to make funny videos. Go ahead. All right. But when you start talking to people, your pitch or your presentation or your program is going to be that of an advisor. And it sounds really good, and consultants make a lot of money teaching you how to be an advisor. I'm going to tell you right now, it's hard. Here's how you know that you're doing it. All right. I have a client right now. We listed their property. Okay. We had a great result. All right. They're a little bit older than I am. Okay. They're definitely highly opinionated. All right. And I had to go through the whole thing with them in a listing. I had to tell them why we were going to stage it. I had to explain why we were going to get the inspections beforehand. I had to explain why I was going to kick them out of their house for 3 days and hold it open. I had to explain why we were going to respond to offers the way that we responded to offers. And it didn't feel that hard, right? I'm doing my thing. They're nodding their head. Okay. But I could just tell that they didn't love it, right? Once the house was in escrow, okay? Once the house was in escrow, there were five offers, four or five offers, I don't know. The house was in escrow, it was under contract, they did really, really well. The EMD check was in escrow. The guy finally cops, okay? He finally cops and he says, out of the blue, he goes, you know what? You were right. And I said, okay, yeah, thanks. Okay, great. And he's like, no, you know what? We listened to your plan. You came over here. You kept telling us what the plan was. You kept telling us what the program was. I had 100 arguments in my head with you, 100 different times. I was so mad at you in my head. I fought with you in my head. I said you were wrong in my head. It even came out of my mouth, and my wife would tell me, calm down. I had arguments with you over and over again, and you were right every freaking time. Okay, that's an advisor. You with me? I'm not telling you what you want to hear. I'm telling you what the plan is. I'm not telling you what's easy. I'm telling you what's going to yield a result. And if you fight me on it, I'll tell you straight up, I'll go your way, but it's going to cost you money, right? That's an advisory position. It's really, really hard for some agents to be in a situation with their clients that's even minorly um, conflict oriented. Sorry, I don't have words today. Conflict oriented. They don't want any kind of conflict oriented communication. So what they do is they just say yes, 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 yes to whatever the client is saying or suggesting or whatever, right? Number one, it's going to give you a poor result. Number two, I truly believe at the end of the day, they will not respect you as a professional. Okay. The only way that you convince people that you're different, the only way that you convince people that you're an advisor, the only way that you convince people that you're worth more than any other agent is if you challenge their thinking, if you have a plan, number one, if you stick to the plan, number two, and if you can explain and fight for the plan, number three. I'll give you an example. If Chad's my client, and I'm picking on Chad because his face is in the big screen right now. I'm picking on Chad. If Chad's my, also, I know he'll argue with me. If I'm picking on Chad and I say, hey, Chad, you're my client, and I'll tell you what, here's my program. You got to stage it, you got to do all the inspections, right? And you got to price it $10,000 below what you think it's worth. That's the plan, Chad, and that's what's going to work, and that's what's going to make you really happy. And I've proven it over and over and over again. And it's going to work. And Chad says to me, no, no, and no. Okay. And by the way, they all do. They all do. They all say no, no, and no. If Chad says that to me and I say, well, okay, I can see you're uncomfortable with it. And that's my plan, but it's your house. And so we'll go ahead and do it your way. I don't think it's going to work as well, but I want you to be comfortable with the program. And at the end of the day, it's your property. If I just say that, Chad, how much respect do you have for the plan? Is the plan even real? Or was it just me spouting off a bunch of stuff in your kitchen? Right?
Yeah, I would say if you're backing off that easy, then it makes me think, oh, that's just your strategy. And possibly what I say, well, you just want to make a higher commission, so you want to price it
You want to sell it
that
fast. You don't want to work
this way
for
or
it.
that way. Yeah. Or you're pricing it low because you want to turn it real quick and move on to the next guy. Like it's all money driven and not looking out for my best interest as the seller.
Yep. So here's what I will say, and then we're going to move on. And hopefully I've trained your mind a little bit to for the rest of the conversation. I start every meeting in a listing by saying something that sounds like this. What I'm going to tell you is going to seem extremely unorthodox. You're probably not going to like it. Okay? It's probably going to have you sitting back in your chair, and it's probably going to have you thinking, there's something wrong with this guy. That's a completely normal response for what I'm about to say. Okay. I tell them that. And then I get into it. Right. At the end of the process, which means you're about to close escrow, every single one of them has forgotten about that conversation. This happens 9 out of 10 times, guys. They forgot about that conversation. Now they're happy. Everybody's excited. Life's getting ready to go to the next, transition, whatever it is, and they bring it up again. Okay. They bring it up when they get in contract and they bring it up again at closing. We thought you were nuts. We absolutely thought you were off your rocker and we didn't like anything you had to say, but we just trusted you and went for it and man, did it work out. And then I remind them again, I told you when I first met you that you probably weren't going to like what I had to say. And it probably wasn't going to feel comfortable. And you were going to sit back and be like, whoa, I don't like this guy. Okay. It always goes that way. It always goes that way. So now you've got all of that in your brain. What am I really saying here? Buyers, sellers, it doesn't matter. We all have the same lip service stuff, right? You're going to say it at some point, you can't avoid it. You're going to advertise it at some point, you can't avoid it. But when it gets right down to it, and you're now moving towards a more serious conversation about agency, what's going to make the difference for you is for you to be able to articulate and demonstrate that you have some kind of system for them. Okay. And if the system doesn't make them a little bit uncomfortable, it's probably not right. Let's talk about listings. And I've said this before. Can you rattle off for me right now? If I turn on your mic, can you rattle off for me right now exactly what your listing system is to prep a house for sale, to take it through a contract, to get it closed? Can you tell me in detail everything that you do and why you do it? Can anybody do it? I mean, in detail. Rattle it off for me. Okay? I'm going to answer that for you. No, you can't. Okay? That's not a shot against you. You just haven't practiced it enough. We got to be able to talk about a system for pricing, prep, marketing, communication during the process. Okay, I'm going to give Brendan some credit right here, right now, both buyers and sellers. The one thing he is the master at that I still, after all these years, can't figure out how to incorporate in my brain is Brendan is the master of setting expectations. For a buyer, for a seller, he sets expectations. He sets the table like you would not believe. So, he talks about pricing, he talks about prep, he talks about marketing, he talks about, how I'm going to negotiate for you and what that looks like. But what he really does well is he tells people how it's going to go, right? Here's what you can expect to have happen. Here's how we're going to respond to that when that happens. Right? Here's what you should consider a win. Here's what you should consider a loss. Here's what you should consider I don't know, and we'll just have to play it by ear. Right? Nobody's ever mad at him because he tells them in the beginning how it's going to go. But I'll tell you this, he couldn't possibly do that if he didn't have a pretty well-wired system in place. It delivers predictable results, right? Same thing with buyers. In order to farm buyers and to get buyers to use you versus one of the other 800,000 agents on Instagram, okay? Yeah, you got to have catchy stuff, but when you get that opportunity, you've got to be able to articulate a system. This is how I help my clients find and secure a home. This is how we do it. You need to be able to articulate how you operate search. You need to be able to articulate how you operate showings. You need to be able to articulate how you write offers in a way that's more competitive than other offers or more attractive to sellers than other offers. You need to be able to articulate your system for gathering information from inspectors and negotiating for credits on repairs. Okay. And what that process looks like and how you do it and what your general result is. You need to be able to spout all of that stuff off to them right now. Who can do it right now if I turn on your mic? Those are the things that make the difference between good agents and great agents. Now, yeah, look, you got to do it. You have to perform. But if you don't know what it is and you don't know what the map is, how in the heck are you ever going to perform it? You'll just be reacting to everything, right? Here's where it comes in handy with buyers too. Look, it's frustrating to be a buyer right now. Okay. Yes, there's more inventory. No, not all of it's great. No, the sellers haven't relaxed on pricing at all. You're still feeling like as a buyer you're getting taken advantage of. You're still feeling like you're paying too much. You're still feeling like you don't have enough to choose from. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to get frustrated. So if I've got a system in place and I know, look, this is how we search, this is how we view, this is how we write contracts, this is how we win contracts, this is what we do after we're in contract, and you start to get frustrated with the process, I can say to you, look, we have to stick to the plan. We know what the plan is. The plan does work. I know you're frustrated, but we've got to stay the course. We've got to stick to the plan. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. The plan works, right? Instantly calm. May still be frustrated, but calm and frustrated. All right. Calm and frustrated, they're not going to fire you. Mad and frustrated, you're gone. Okay. You're gone. Do you have a process for these things or you just kind of wing it? Where are you at? That's not a question for you to answer on mic. That's a question to answer in your brain. Are you dialed in, buyers and sellers, process in place, process in writing, process from writing to memory? Can you articulate it? Where are you at? Okay. What would your client say about your process? If I said to you, any of your clients, if I said, look, this is that agent's program, did they follow it? Would they say yes or no? How would they feel about it? Are they going to come back to you and be able to say to you, look, I thought you were nuts because you made me do A, B, C, D, and E. And boy, we argued about it, but it worked. Boy, I thought you were nuts because when we were writing my offers to try and purchase houses, you were saying we had to structure an offer like this. And I thought that was crazy, but man, it worked. Are they going to say that? Or are they just going to say, yeah, it went okay, it went good? Yeah, right? If they're just going to say, yeah, it went okay, it went good, it means you just wung it through the process. You just reacted through the process. If they can articulate all the things that freaked them out or made them concerned, that means that you operated from a process. Think about that. Let me ask you this, and this is the part where you get to talk. I hope you talk, anyways. If I erased your personality, took it completely off the table, totally removed it, and you were just blah, what would your unfair advantage or your best quality as an agent be if I took away your personality? 100%. Somebody tell me, what would make you great if you didn't have a personality? Nobody brave enough to chime in. Maybe nothing. Nobody's going to answer me. Knowledge.
My
Yeah.
wife says the greatest part about me is I don't have a personality.
Okay. Well, there you go. Maybe your personality is a barrier, Chad. Yeah. Okay. Nobody?
Product or service knowledge and experience, I'd say, generally.
Service, service knowledge and experience. All right. That sounds like somebody's Instagram reel. Like specifically, Chad, if I took your personality away, what specifically about Chad is amazing?
Oh, specific to me,
Yep.
um, I would say which I put online. It's my background. So what my specific background I've incorporated into my real estate career, which is being a counselor and an advisor, which you had mentioned earlier. So I kind of milk that one.
Hmm. Good. Good. Anybody else? Okay. Good. Here's what I want you to get to. If somebody asked that question of me, I would say, I don't need a personality. Hell, I don't even need to show up. I don't even have to be able to speak. My program works, period. Would you like to see it? Okay. Doesn't matter if you like me. Doesn't matter if you hate me. Doesn't matter if I show up. The program works. I can have anybody facilitate this program, and if they follow the letter of the law, it works every time. Okay. That's what you're going to get to. But in order to do that, you got to build the systems. Okay. You absolutely got to build the systems. So here's what I want you to do this week. No, next week. It's Thursday. Here's what I want you to do. Here's what I want you to do next week. And at least half of you that are in here have already called me or texted me and said, hey, I want to get together. And that's great. We're still going to do that. But even if we get together or even if we don't get together, you're going to email me this. Okay? You're going to email me this. And if you don't email me this, then I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help you. You're going to email me your ideas, and it's going to be bullet point, really simple bullet point stuff. Please do not send me like a big, long Ernest Hemingway novel of stuff. I can't even process that. Bullet points. You're going to send to me, here's my listing system, here's my buyer system, right? Let's make it easy. Let's say that each listing system and each buyer system only needs to have 5 bullet points, right? 5 bullet points. Here's how I do a listing. Here's how I do a buyer. But Damien, I don't have any listings or I don't have any buyers. Okay, fine. You will if you have a system. Okay. You're going to email it to me. 5 bullet points, buyer system, 5 bullet points, seller system. I'm not going to pollute you with telling you any more about systems that I use. You've already you heard about them a million times anyways. You can go to the Google Drive folder and cheat if you want to, but I'd really rather have it just come from you. Tell me what those are so that we can talk about it, so that we can work on it, whether we meet or don't meet. You can still grow from this. We can still help you develop a system, and you're going to be better. Okay? You're going to be better because I promise you, if you're doing all this outreach in your CRM and on social media, and when you're out at public events and you're doing all of these things and meeting all of these people, and at some point somebody's going to come up to you and say, "Tell me about what you do." What the hell are you going to say? That 30 seconds is gold. And if we can switch what you're probably responding to, or how you're probably responding now, to how you're going to respond when we're done through this process, you're going to be more successful. And oh, by the way, you can take these things and start incorporating them into your outreach so that your outreach stands out a little bit more, makes a little bit more sense, and turns a few more heads. Okay? Buyer system, seller system, 5 bullet points each in my email by the end of next week. If you want to be better. If you don't want to be better, don't email me. Okay? You won't have to worry about it. All right. Your turn to talk. Give me some feedback. Give me some thoughts. Ask me some questions. It's 37. Uh, so we got some time to kind of go over this stuff. What do you got for me? Karen, Shelby, ask questions. Brendan can ask questions. What do you got for me?
I mean, I don't know if I have any questions, but I was one of the ones that reached out to you about
You were?
needing,
Yes.
yes, yeah, about needing some systems in place for listings because I've done like 2 listings, but I haven't done them all on my own, and I need to, feel confident when that person, you know, asks me, and so yeah. I think it'll be
Yep.
very helpful. I'll definitely send you an email and then I guess we'll get together too.
Yep. By the way, your logos are awesome. I did look at
Oh,
them. I haven't
you.
responded yet. I know exactly what vibe you're going for. We're going to be able to talk about that too. And Next Home Marketing is going to be able to help you with that too. It's going to be really cool.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Nice.
Okay. Anybody else? Chad, I know I didn't mention your name. You can jump in again if you want to, buddy. I knew you would. I knew you would.
Well, what was the question?
Just any questions, thoughts, comments about what I talked about, putting together your 5 bullet points each, any of that, any questions, comments, or thoughts. That's all.
I oh yeah, so I can send I don't know if I but I have a couple of items. I had my own personal checklist that I go through for
Yeah,
listings
you mentioned that.
um, that I've collected through the years. Then I also have one that's in an app that's more interactive. I don't know if I could copy that or not. That's for buyers and sellers, but it works for me. But I would just suggest everybody find what works for them, but some type of checklist to track or spreadsheet, whatever works. But I know that I won't remember it all, so I have it in here. Um, when I get a new listing, then I have it to put in here to remind myself, uh, get the listing agreement signed, complete the TDS and the SPQ,
Yep.
send the listing to the broker within 24 hours, get property photos scheduled, get the listing into MLS by this date, and I just have it go through, and then I go off of that and have it annoy me on my phone if I haven't done it yet.
Okay, but
Um,
the email that you're going to send me is going to be bullet points for buyers and sellers, 5 bullet points each of what Chad's program is. Like, that is amazing that you do that, and I'm going to challenge you. That is amazing that you do that, but I wouldn't want if a seller said to me, "Hey, listen, what's your program for selling my house?" You're not going to tell them about your checklist, right? How is Chad going to sell my house? That's the bullet points that I'm looking for.
yeah, so that's the second part is which um, I'll have to think about. I love the program which when you sold me on to NextHome. No, I'm just messing with you.
A good
um,
salesman.
yes, but I don't know if I have the if I win the award for asking the most questions or not. But I was interested in what your system is. Like what I'm teaming
Wait,
up with you. What am I going to get that
you're
I'm
gonna
not going to get from anywhere else?
you're gonna hear about it tomorrow at 3:30, buddy. So yeah.
Yeah.
Chad's the brave one, everybody. He's gonna let me come tour his new listing tomorrow at 3:30. So yeah, yeah,
Yes, which if anybody's available and wants to come, it's Citrus Heights near Antelope and 80 at 3:30. If you guys want to
yeah.
join us,
Come on
um,
down.
come on down. It'll
Yep,
probably go on the market in a week or so.
yep.
Um, but I think for me, my system has been much more intangible. Like when they say, well, why me instead of anybody else? And I'll usually tell them, well, good agents are a dime a dozen. And realtors, if you have a realtor certification, which you don't have to have, you could just be an agent, but we commit to a code of ethics and we commit to a few extra things, but those are a dime a dozen around here too. Um, but what they aren't is me. And I usually just enter into a conversation with each person. So it's on a more personal level, I guess. And I don't know if I'm going to bullet point that, but I usually find out what's most important to them. And I will meet with them 2 or 3 times before
No,
getting into contract.
you're not gonna bullet point that either. You're gonna bullet point your
No.
system. We'll talk more about it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, good. Thanks, buddy. Anybody else? 43, doing good. No, no one else is going to challenge me or have comments. Brendan, are you in a position to talk or are you still driving? I'll give you 2 seconds. He's still driving. Okay. All
My
right.
challenge, Damien, my challenge then would be, since you're looking for one, would be the difference on the system is agents a dime a dozen can have a system too, but what makes us unique is us too, right? So we're selling
Mm,
ourselves and
you're
not
getting some.
necessarily a product.
You're getting somewhere. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Agents can have agents with the system or a dime a dozen too. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Yep. Yep. You're
So
already
I
at the
usually
next
address
level.
that.
You're already at
Yeah.
the next
So
level. Good.
me with a system is better than me,
True.
though. But yes, but I want to sell me, and for myself, that's what I've learned is selling myself is what usually gets the signing on the dotted line.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And thank you for bringing that up. Yes, thank you for bringing that up because what I don't want to do is close this out and you're thinking system, systems. I want you to think system, system, system. But at the end of the day, people hire people, right? People hire you. People hire Jess, Shelby, Caron. They hire people. So,
Mm.
yeah. You got to have systems in place for all the reasons that I'm talking about, and you got to be able to articulate them for all the reasons that I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, they still have to trust you. And remember what I said about my story about the client. He talked about the 100 arguments he had in his brain with me. And I don't know if you picked up on it, but he said, we just decided to trust you and go with it. If you don't have that, if they don't trust you, then none of it matters. System, personality, none of it. If they don't trust you, it's no good. Absolutely no good. So thank you for forcing me into that one, Chad, and helping me remember. Okay. It's 45. If nobody else has got anything else, then I will get you out of here so you can enjoy the rest of this beautiful, beautiful afternoon. And I will look for your emails by the end of next week. If you need help with that, let me know. For those of you that wanted to set up time with me, let's do that. We can use your bullet points and take that to the next level. It'll be awesome. Okay. If you need me, you know where to find me. I'm going to click the button in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll see you later.